everyone. Welcome to Her Path, the podcast for women looking for health, happiness, and purpose. Today, I want to dive into talking about self care and the fact that we need to redefine it. There's a definition I found. It's called the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health, the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. So I feel like self-care is not just relaxation, it's about energy management. What do you guys think about energy management?
I
I'm totally
love
for
that.
that. Yeah.
Like where your attention goes, your energy flows.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like that's something I have to be really careful about, but like on a regular basis, because if I go even several days without really getting that, I'm like one of those people that I need to reboot after being really like around people, being after so my job, I'm just talking to people all day long.
Mhm.
And I really need to reboot again before doing that again the next day because otherwise it's just mentally exhausting. And so it's a daily thing trying to recoup that energy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Gabby, what do you do to recoup? What do you need to rebalance? Like, I think about putting your phone on the battery charger. What do you
I'm not,
need to
I'm
do
not,
to charge?
yeah. So some of the things that I do, so I do cook, prepare dinner at diet, and it's not a stressful, challenging thing because I prepare a lot of things already ahead of time so that it makes it easier for me in the evening time. So the weekends I use to kind of decide what I'm going to make during the week, prepare what I can ahead of time. And then I do like to read. I do like to watch TV. I'm not going to lie to you. I do like to sit down and watch a brainless show for like an hour or so. And that really is enough for me to feel like I had some time to myself, some time to not think about anything, anyone, any tasks, any messages, and just kind of get a little bit of reboot. And then I do go to bed early. I have to go to bed at a reasonable hour so I can get at least 8 hours of sleep every day.
I
So,
love going to bed early. Oh my gosh, I get excited for.
oh yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
So those are some small things that I do on a regular basis that
Mhm.
are easy and doable and really do help.
Good.
What
What's
time is it early? I'm just curious.
So for me, I usually get into bed by 9:30.
Yeah, I'm 9 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm like, that's so late.
Unapologetic.
Is that late for you?
Well, it depends on what time of year it is. I am shameless to go to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the middle of winter.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
We're
dark.
just coming out of that. So right now, my bedtime is like 8 p.m., sometimes 7:30.
Yeah. What time do you get up in the morning though, Beth?
Usually 5, sometimes 4:30.
Yeah, so that's
So
really early.
yeah.
I get up
That's
at like 6:30, right around there. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
I like 8 hours. You guys, I was wondering what the recommended hours of rest are.
It's right around 8 hours,
Eight
7 to
hours.
Yeah.
eight hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it makes a big difference with that energy, feeling rejuvenated. And I feel like it needs to be consistent for me. Like if I get off schedule for whatever reason, it takes me a while to get caught up.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm that way. Yeah. Nancy, what was the statement that you made where energy?
Where your attention goes, your energy flows.
Yes, yes. I where your attention goes, like I'm writing it down, goes,
Your
your energy flows.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's really powerful.
it is if you really think about it. What
Yeah,
you-
like that is something
you're
I'm
giving
gonna
your attention to.
I'm gonna put a little sticky note on my computer and remind myself of that.
Like I think your attention is precious. What are you giving it to?
Yeah.
Like I have clients who are so stressed out. I say, okay, you guys, you have a stress hormone called cortisol. Wake up in the morning, just pretend you've got $100 worth of cortisol. Where are you going to spend it? Where are you going to let yourself get off track? I think
I was having a conversation with someone yesterday and she was traveling and she's from another country and she has all of her documents and everything in line or what have you. But because of the political climate, she's like, I'm really worried about this trip that I'm going on. I'm really thinking about canceling it. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, why? Why would you think about
right.
canceling your trip? You've been looking forward to it all year. It sounds amazing. She's like, well, what if they don't let me back into the country? And I'm like, why are you even worried about that? You have everything set. You have, there's no reason why you would not be allowed back into the country. Why are you allowing your mind to go there when it's not necessary? The unnecessary, over exaggerated worry taking up her mind. She wasn't sleeping. She was getting all these other somatic symptoms in her body, like body aches and stuff, just because she was overly stressing, overly thinking about that situation, which after talking about it with her, she then kind of came to the agreement that I really don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But it's true, her mind was going there so much for this upcoming trip that she was literally making herself sick.
And I think sometimes you just need to talk it out with someone, get the words out, because then you realize, okay, maybe this is not warranted.
Yes, like I think Elise, you tell us this a lot. Separate the fact from the fiction, right?
Yes.
Whenever you are having a story in your head about something that's really stressing you out, like, okay, what are the facts here? Like, what is actually true and what is a made up fairy tale that you're telling yourself or
Yeah.
nightmare that you're telling yourself?
Right, right. Yeah, and that's where your attention goes sometimes to those thoughts, right? Or
Right.
those made up fairy tales instead of the facts. It's easy for our minds to take us there.
100%. Elise,
Yep.
what do you do to recharge?
Sleep is number one. Um, if I let myself, I could very much be in Beth's camp in the winter. I just love my bedroom and my bed a little too much. It is too comforting. It is too relaxing for me. So sometimes I have to set some boundaries around how much time I allow myself. But yeah, I'm definitely an 8 hour person. I must have 8 hours of sleep. And that is my top priority. But for self-care, I like to think about micro moments. I've been doing a lot of reading on micro moments in self-care that it's for me, it needs to be about tiny choices throughout the day because I've got two busy teenagers. We're doing college decisions. I've got a busy business that I'm running that is growing. I am taking care of my father and we take care of my mother-in-law a little bit. And there's just a lot of juggling. So, you know, going for a spa day is just not an option. So, what are those little tiny choices? Getting outside, walking around the block if I have a minute to do that. Um, a lot of people will joke and say self-care is not about bubble baths. I disagree. My bath time, my 30-minute bath time is my time where I shut the rest of the world out and it's for me. And sometimes I just sit there and I meditate. Sometimes I listen to an audiobook. Sometimes I put music on. But that is self-care for me for
Yeah,
sure.
I
Uh,
agree.
yeah, it's and it gets and baths get a lot of slack, and I don't know why, but I refuse to accept that. I think they're important.
Love a good soak with
Yes,
candles
yeah,
and
a good soak
balms.
is good for
I
your
love it.
soul.
I think so. How about you, Beth? What do you do?
Well, I do have to say, I'm not a bath fan. However, I have noticed it resets your nervous system.
Hmm.
It does, even if you try try not to. You're like all worked up. You can't not come out of a bath relaxed and in a different state of mind. And so I think that makes sense. Like, why not? Why cannot that be self-care? Because that makes so much sense. Right. And part of that, I think, is shifting. You bring up a good point, Elise, is shifting our perspective of what we think self-care should be. And for me in my journey for so long, I had this vision of what I thought I should live up to, like aspire to. And when I wouldn't meet that in a day or in the moment, I would beat myself up for it. And so learning really self-compassion and care and what is it that like what can I attain? Like what is my aspiration for myself, not looking outside of me. And self-care has shifted into doing those things that I had aspired to do all those years ago. Like I look at my life now and I'm like, I'm doing all the things that I said that I wanted to do that I never did. And when I didn't do it, I felt so bad. And now it's just who I am. And it's it helps keep the energy. And for me, it's eating clean and healthy, drinking clean and healthy, getting I get maybe too much sleep, but at least 8 hours. You guys probably know, I can sleep 10, I can sleep 12, depending on what's going on. And just recently in the last 2 years, exercise, like really intense, like hard exercise for short periods of time, like the HIIT type of where it
Mm.
gets your endorphins going, right? Where you're like, your body feels like it's gonna die, but it won't, where you're like on the ground, huffing and
Fasting.
puffing on the floor, right? Like that has been something that has brought so much joy and so much like reset for me to be able to like bring more energy and be able to be more resilient throughout the day.
That's great because you were having a health struggle, right?
Absolutely. And I really struggled most of 2024 without being able to do any kind of work exercise, like even going for a 30-minute walk, I couldn't do, I didn't do, I chose not to do. It was, I had some really bad chronic fatigue syndrome. And so it was pretty much surviving, able to go to work and able to go to bed. My food preparation became very simple, um, out of necessity. And I do enjoy cooking good meals and healthy foods and eating like a Whole 30, just kind of natural way of eating. And when you're don't have any energy, it was really, really challenging. But I was able to pull some resources together and be able to yeah, heal myself. Like that whole 2024 was all about just me taking care of myself and yeah, surviving and not feeling bad. Like I didn't plant a garden last year. I didn't mow my lawn. I love mowing my lawn. Like all the things that that you take for granted in life that you may not necessarily, enjoy, but when you can't do those things, it's
It's a
kind of
big deal.
it's emotional. It's kind of interesting.
I
Hey, I
agree
wanted
with
to
you.
ask you, Beth, last year I feel like you really dove into the spiritual side of yourself and really did some spiritual discovery. Do you consider that to be part of your self-care?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, 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 absolutely. I feel like a shift has definitely entered in my life, and God is first and foremost, always. I set aside time for God, and everything else will fall into place. I feel like in my world of coaching and life, uh, talking about time management, if it doesn't come within these 5 categories and I can't put it and it's not moving kind of me forward or fulfilling, then it goes out of my life. But it's, relationship, spirituality, relationship with God is always number one. And then these aren't necessarily in any particular order, but relationships, and that includes relationships, with yourself and with others, and then your career or contribution to the world, whether that's working or through philanthropy work, um, your financial life, because that definitely affects everything. You can't live without money and finances. That what makes the world kind of tick, right? And then the last one is health. And so for me, I prioritized that last year, and God was first, always. My health was second, relationships third, finances fourth, and for me, career kind of took the back seat. And yeah,
Well, I think it worked for you.
yeah,
Yes.
thanks, it did.
Yes. Sounds like some
Also,
self-advocacy.
some things that you were saying in there, Beth, I was wondering, what are some things that you don't do that helps with self-care? Because I think sometimes we can overstretch ourselves or feel obligated to, in all of those aspects that you brought up that are really important to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can I don't know, overcommit or, do things or participate in things that are not necessarily important for our growth and for our well-being? What are some things that you've cut out or maybe don't do anymore to
Mm,
help with well-being?
yeah, that's a really great question. And I think it's different depending on where you are in your
Mhm.
journey. Last year was things like that I didn't do is I dropped a lot of expectation of myself on
Mm.
what I physically could do, even just housework, physical, like basic things around the house, laundry, dishes, cooking. Um, I didn't give myself a heart, like I didn't do a lot of those things. But the hard part of that was not giving myself a bad time for not doing those things. Like I had to do a lot of coaching. I had a coach through this, and so that was very, very helpful. Um, and so a lot of other things is just saying no to events and not feeling guilty or feeling bad about it.
Mhm.
Like yeah, obligations, things for work, helping out extra, in the community. Um, just nope, I need to rest. And
Yeah.
and my lovely Jason knew not to ask anything extra of me, and he was very much a support and help and kind of picked up where I left off. Yeah, held me up.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love the power of saying no without guilt because when you say no to something outside of you, you really say yes to yourself.
you do. The trick I think is the not guilt part,
Right.
right?
Well,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
think
Takes
it's a learned
practice.
response.
Oh
It
yeah.
is learned. It takes practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember the first time I actually said no and it felt good. Like it felt okay. Like I actually didn't, the first, I guess, emotion wasn't, you know, beating myself up or shaming myself or feeling guilty. It was like, yes, like really empowering. And then I felt like it was like confidence and power, like taking my power back.
Probably a
And I
sense of relief too.
right, and like coming back to like where your attention goes, your energy flows. Like if you're bringing attention to feeling bad for what you're doing, right? You're maybe gonna like
Right.
do avoid doing things because you think you're bad or it's bad. But if you do things with confidence and you have that thought and that energy, that you're bringing more of your authentic self out into the world, being confident versus being hidden.
That reminds me of a book that I just finished an audiobook I just finished listening to by Martha Beck called Living with Integrity, I think is what it's called,
Oh,
where it's exactly what you were mentioning about being authentic to yourself. It's coming from a place that matches who you are,
mm,
the person in all of the aspects, who you commit to, what you commit to, the things that you decide to participate in. They're truths that you tell yourself, that being aligned with yourself and your inner core. It takes some time though to figure out actually what it is that you're aligned with. But she does mention that our body knows even before our brain will, put it into a thought or to words, that if it doesn't feel right, then it's something you may not possibly be in integrity with. And I totally get that. Like when you read the email or you get something inviting you or another meeting or another this and that, and it's like, that's not something that I want to do, or something I don't need to do. In that moment, I think about that. Like, that is not something that's in integrity with me. That's not something that is important to me. That's not something that adds any value to me. So it's okay for me to say no to that. Um, but that is something new that I'm just learning,
I love that.
which is crazy.
Right.
Like that negative, I think we're all used to having those negative sensations in our body when we're confronted with some kind of choice. But learning how to pay attention to that and then, kind of aligning ourselves with it is like amazing, the different choices you make when you actually align yourself with what comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
It's
I
super
just
fascinating.
I just wrote a blog on this, so I love that we're
Really?
talking about it. Yeah, and how to say no when you're inherently a people pleaser, and that push and pull, that kind of tug that you have with yourself, and kind of learning and building that muscle to not minimize what other people want. It's not about taking away from them. It's about maximizing what you want or need, right? It's not or, it's and. They want this, and I want, they want A, and I want D, and D's gonna triumph this time. And that thought work that you have to do in order to build that muscle around saying no, or just putting yourself first without that guilt. It's not
Mhm.
easy, but
No, but
I
it's an
like,
icky feeling you get. Like I know,
yeah,
that's how I would describe it. An icky feeling when you are confronted with something that it's not something that it's not something that I'm aligned with, not something that I want to do, not something that I agree with. You get this icky feeling when you start getting that obligation or that feeling like I should because it's expected, and it is an icky feeling. That's the
yeah,
best I can describe it. But so paying attention to that and kind of figuring out where the hell is this coming from? Why is that there?
yeah,
Is really fascinating how much you could learn about yourself if you pay attention to why am I feeling some kind of way about this invitation. And it could be an invitation to a party. It could be an invitation to a kid party. You're like, not
right,
another one. I don't want
Yeah.
right,
Well,
right.
yeah. Well, I'd like to offer like that icky feeling. It is because you're considering doing the thing you don't want to do, which is not in integrity, right? So you're not in an alignment, which is why it feels icky.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember where I learned this. Um, but somebody had mentioned that people pleasing is really
Manipulation.
about the manipulation, and it's about yourself and not
Yes.
the other people. It's because you want people to feel and think a certain way about you, right? And so you're trying to manipulate. And so if you can drop the people pleasing and just know that people are going to have thoughts about you whether you do something or don't do something, and you know those are that's their thoughts, and you can't control what other people think about you by what you do and don't do. And so taking your power back and like doing what you want to do no matter what, regardless, and not being apologetic for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or saying sometimes I have to tell myself, not my problem.
Right.
Not my problem.
Yeah.
Move on.
Right.
Stay in
Yeah.
your lane.
Yeah.
And that's totally self-care. I mean, I have had to tell myself over and over and over, girl, you're just taking care of yourself. It's okay. That's not something that it's going to be fine. No one's going to care at the end of the day. You're making a bigger deal about it than anything. And so that for me has been a big part of my self-care is saying no and not overcommitting to people, things, situations, feelings that, are not helpful.
I
That's
want to I want to offer up something that I learned this week is that fun can be self-care.
oh
And
my
I've
gosh.
never thought about fun as self-care. So this past week, I have, I'm half Indian. My father's from India, and we had the pleasure of having some of our Indian relatives come stay for the week. And we have had so much fun. We have been chatting all day and cooking all day and laughing. Just, I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard that my like stomach hurt and I couldn't breathe, right? That kind of laughter. And I went into the week feeling just nervous, right? Letting all of my obligations get the better of me. And I cannot tell you how much better I feel and how renewed and refreshed and lighter I feel from having spent this week getting to know these relatives and just the fun. I mean, they are amazing cooks and they cook all day long, and the laughter, just really that kind of fun has made me feel so much more refreshed and renewed and lighter. And I was thinking about it this morning as we were getting ready to record that was like, oh my gosh, that was self-care.
100%. The other day I was dancing in the kitchen. I'm like, I need to do this more. I need to put on like my Spotify and just move and dance.
Yeah.
That
I,
Yeah.
brought me joy.
that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite feelings is feeling like I'm having fun. Yeah.
Hmm.
Fun is joyful. And I'll do that too sometimes, even before work. I'm like, I'm gonna have fun at work today. Let's have fun today. And it has almost uh a way of squashing down negativity and almost like an anticipation of, something good's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I really love that. Choosing to have fun or looking at it. This is going to be fun when you can look at it as, oh my God, this is going to be so stressful. Oh my God, this is going to be such hard work. Or, oh my God, it's going to take so. This is going to be fun. We're going to make it fun. The point of this is to have fun.
Yeah, I love that. And something that shifted for me, like um I shifted it just a little bit to be I am fun. And so like I bring the fun wherever I am. So I can, like if I'm going to the thing, right? Maybe I don't want to go to my job today. I do love my job, but some days I don't want to go, right? But I'm a fun person, and so when I show up and interact with people, everybody has fun because it's a fun experience because I'm fun and I try to be funny. I think I make people laugh a lot, but yeah, maybe
You
it's
do.
just
You
You
are
are the fun.
fun. You are fun.
I'm silly.
You
Yes.
definitely lighten up anything that you're involved in. So
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Which is helpful in my line of work.
Right.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing I want to talk about is, Gabby, when you were talking about feeling icky,
yeah.
um, for me, there was a period in my life where I was just so overgiving and so people pleasing. I had like paralyzing anxiety.
Mm.
And what I learned to do in that moment was doing a body scan just in the morning, just kind of taking inventory, like taking a scan of like my head all the way down and just
Hmm.
feeling into my body where things were. So I think that's super helpful to do for self-care,
Yes.
as well as managing your inner voice.
Right.
How are you talking to yourself? What are you saying? Paying attention to that and just being your own inner cheerleader, I think is huge for self-care.
Hmm.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
body scan, I think, is so important. So I do that every night. It's interesting that you do it in the morning. I do it at night as part of a guided meditation to help me just settle in and calm my mind and go to sleep. But I find every night that I do a body scan, it's amazing to me where the stress and the tension hangs out, right? And it picks different places. But I love being able to stay on top of that and not let it get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested, I would love to chat about like what the difference is, if there's a difference between doing it in the morning or doing it the night, or maybe some of you do it during the day. Um, I've always done it at night.
Mm,
And it's a way to
interesting.
just to relax.
I
Yeah.
feel like I do mine during the day and several times during the day. And I think it's just because I think it's because of work. I think in the morning there's just a general like it's on automatic. I don't think about it in the morning. It's just, oh, I feel fine today. I feel great. Okay. Um, but during the day, it depends on different encounters that I'm having or different, the different stimuli that come in from the computer, from people, from, my staff. And then I'll feel something somewhere. And sometimes it can be in the chest. Sometimes it could be the back of my head. Sometimes it's the shoulders or the neck. And most of it all has to do with some kind of tension.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then a lot of times there is lightness that comes in. Like if there are certain people that I look forward to seeing on a regular basis or that, that I enjoy having encounters with, then it's kind of a lightness, but it's different, sporadic. And I kind of wait for my body to tell me. I don't intentionally look my body will tell me. And then I'll just like, oh, okay. I wonder why that's happening. Or I wonder why this is happening. When I know I didn't hurt myself, I know I didn't do something intentional to kind of, like it's not a hangover. It's not like it's not something I ate. It's like, it's an emotional, somatic kind of feeling that is coming in my body my body's trying to warn me, anticipate something. And it happens during the day. It just, oh, okay, why is that there?
I love that you're a medical doctor talking about this stuff too.
But it's a real thing. And people
I
pay me a
know.
lot of money to tell you their things. And it's like, and after ruling everything out, it's like, do you have a lot of stress? Are you having, and it's always like, oh, yes, I'm about to be, evicted from my house, or oh, I'm going through it, find out my husband's cheating and has another family. And oh my God, no wonder you're feeling this way. This is
Right.
totally normal for you to feel horrible,
Right. Validating that is so incredible. People
Yeah.
need to feel heard.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys, I think this was a great conversation. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for listening. And if you like what you heard, like and subscribe and share this. And until next time, have a fabulous day.
Hey, one more thing before we leave. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are certified professional coaches, but this broadcast is not a substitute for medical or psychological advice. Okay, thanks for listening. See you next week.